The reflection in the mirror showed everything I'd dreamed of since I was a little girl. Perfect white dress, hair styled just so, makeup that made me look like myself but better. I should have been ecstatic. Instead, my stomach churned with an unease I couldn't explain. "You look stunning, Zoe," my best friend Ren said, adjusting my veil. "James isn't going to know what hit him." I forced a smile, trying to shake off the gnawing feeling in my gut. "Thanks. I don't know why I'm so nervous." "Cold feet are normal," my mother Cecilia chimed in, fussing with my train. "I had them too, right before I married your father. But this felt different. The pit in my stomach had been growing for weeks, ever since I'd found that strange receipt in James's jacket, the one for a romantic dinner for two on a night he'd claimed to be working late. When I'd asked him about it, he'd laughed it off, said it was for a client meeting. I'd believed him because I wanted to believe him. 5 minutes until showtime! Rachel, my cousin, poked her head into the bridal suite. Her excitement was contagious, momentarily pushing away my doubts. I met James 2 years ago at a charity gala. He'd been charming, successful, and seemed too good to be true. Our whirlwind romance had all the hallmarks of a fairy tale. Surprise weekend getaways, thoughtful gifts, and a proposal that could have been straight out of a romance movie. "Ready?" My father Edwin appeared at the door, looking dapper in his tuxedo. His eyes were misty as he offered his arm. I took one last look in the mirror, smoothed my dress, and nodded. "Ready." The wedding march began to play as we approached the church doors. Through the crack, I could see James standing at the altar, handsome in his black tux. Our eyes met, and he smiled, but something felt off. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The doors swung open. 200 guests rose to their feet. My father squeezed my arm as we began our walk down the aisle. I focused on James, trying to recapture that feeling of certainty I'd had when I'd said yes to his proposal. Halfway down the aisle, the church doors burst open again. "Stop the wedding!" The voice rang out clear and sharp, cutting through the music. Everyone turned. There, in the doorway, stood a woman I'd never seen before. She wore a wedding dress identical to mine. The music screeched to a halt. Gasps echoed through the church. My father's grip on my arm tightened. "James!" the woman called out, her voice breaking. "Tell them the truth! Tell them about us!" I turned to James. His face had gone chalk white. "Lucinda," he whispered, just loud enough for me to hear. "What are you doing here?" The bottom dropped out of my world. My legs went weak, but I forced myself to stay standing. The strange receipt, the late nights at work, the mysterious phone calls he'd step outside to take. It all clicked into place with devastating clarity. "Who is she?" I demanded, my voice surprisingly steady. James stepped toward me, hands raised placatingly. "Baby, I can explain." "Don't baby me," I cut him off. "Who is she?" The woman, Lucinda, strode down the aisle, her wedding dress rustling. "I'm his fiancé. Or at least, I was until I found out about you 3 days ago." More gasps from the congregation. My mother made a strangled sound. Ren appeared at my side, her hand finding mine and squeezing tight. "Is it true?" I asked James, even though I already knew the answer. I could see it in his eyes, in the way he couldn't quite look at me. "Zoe, please," he started, reaching for my hand. "It's complicated." I jerked away from him. "How long?" "1.5 years," Lucinda answered for him. "We've been together 1.5 years. He proposed to me 2 months ago." The church had gone dead silent. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, waiting to see what I would do. The old Zoe might have run away in tears, but something inside me had snapped. Or maybe it had finally clicked into place. I turned to face our guests, my voice clear and strong. "Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have an interesting situation here. And since you've all taken time out of your busy schedules to attend a wedding," I paused, a plan forming in my mind. "I think you deserve to see exactly what kind of man James really is." I caught Ren's eye and saw her slight nod. She knew what I was thinking. We'd prepared for something like this, though we'd hoped we'd never need it. "James," I said, turning back to him with a smile that made him take a step back. Why don't we tell everyone about your Instagram DMs? Instagram DMs? James's voice cracked. The color drained from his face as I pulled my phone from the hidden pocket Ren had sewn into my wedding dress. Oh, yes, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. You see, everyone, James here, has a habit of forgetting to log out of his social media accounts on shared devices, like that iPad we bought together last Christmas. Lucinda stepped closer, her wedding dress brushing against mine. What exactly did you find? Ren, would you do the honors? I handed my phone to my best friend, who quickly connected it to the church's projection system, installed for displaying hymn lyrics during regular services. Zoe, please, James pleaded, stepping toward me. Don't do this. My brother Cameron stood up from his pew. Stay right where you are, James. The first screenshot appeared on the wall behind the altar. James's private messages to various women, dating back months. The timestamps told their own story. Messages sent during our date nights, during family dinners, even during our engagement party. Gasps and murmurs filled the church. My mother covered her face with her hands. My father sat rigid, his jaw clenched. This is just the beginning, I announced, my voice carrying through the stunned silence. Swipe left, Ren. More screenshots appeared. James with different women at restaurants, hotels, events, all posted on private Instagram stories he thought I'd never see. In some, he wore the same clothes he'd worn on nights he told me he was working late. You've been busy, Lucinda said, her voice dripping with venom. She turned to me. Did you know about the apartment in River Heights? I blinked. What apartment? The one he keeps for his business meetings, she spat. Paid for with company money, I might add. James lunged forward. Shut up, Lucinda. Make me, she challenged. Should I tell them about the credit card fraud, too? The church erupted in chaos. James's brother Ethan stood up from his seat. What credit card fraud? Oh, this is rich, I laughed. But there was no humor in it. Please, Lucinda, do tell. He's been using company cards for personal expenses, she said, pulling out her phone. I work at the bank that handles his company's accounts. That's how we met. When I realized he was engaged to someone else, I did some digging. James made a break for the side door, but Cameron and Ethan blocked his path. Running away, James? I called after him. Like you ran away from telling me about the STD test you got 3 months ago? More gasps. My mother finally found her voice. Zoe, this is hardly appropriate. No, Mom. I cut her off. You know what's not appropriate? Planning 2 weddings with 2 different women. Stealing from your company. Putting your fiancé's health at risk. Former fiancé, Lucinda corrected, then looked at me. Both of us. James slumped against the wall, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. I can explain everything. Save it for the police, Ethan said, his phone already at his ear. I'm calling them now. The police? James's voice rose in panic. Come on, bro, you can't. I'm not your bro anymore, Ethan snapped. I'm the CFO who's going to have to explain to the board why our VP of sales has been embezzling company funds. I turned to our guests, who sat in stunned silence. I'm sorry you all had to witness this. The reception hall has been paid for, and the food and drinks are excellent. Please, go enjoy yourselves. Consider it a celebration of dodging a bullet. You bitch! James snarled, finally showing his true colors. You planned this whole thing. No, James, I replied calmly. You planned this. Every lie, every betrayal, every stolen dollar, those were your choices. I just made sure everyone could see them. Lucinda stepped forward. And I'll be providing all the banking records to support the investigation. The sound of sirens grew closer. 2 police officers appeared at the church entrance, summoned by Ethan's call. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced, I believe this concludes the ceremony portion of our evening. As I said, please head to the reception. Ren will lead the way. As the police led James away and the guests filed out, Lucinda turned to me. I'm sorry about all this. I found out about you 3 days ago and couldn't let him get away with it. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same pain I felt reflected in her eyes. Thank you for coming forward. We both deserved better. Yes, we did, she agreed. Buy you a drink at your non-wedding reception? I smiled. My first genuine smile of the day. Make it a double. Behind us, my mother was having vapors about the scandal, but my father's voice cut through her complaints. Our daughter just dodged a lifetime of lies and manipulation. I'd say this is the best wedding gift she could have received. I linked arms with Lucinda. Come on, let's go get that drink. I have a feeling this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. The reception hall buzzed with a different kind of energy than I'd imagined for my wedding day. Instead of first dances and cake cutting, clusters of guests huddled together, whispering and shooting glances my way as I sat at the bar with Lucinda. So he told you he was divorced? I asked, sipping my martini. Claimed his ex-wife was crazy and unstable. Lucinda rolled her eyes. I'm guessing that's what he told other women about us, too. Ladies, Wren approached, holding her phone. You need to see this. James's arrest is already trending on social media. She showed us her screen. Videos of James being led out of the church were everywhere, along with screenshots from his Instagram that I'd exposed. The hashtag #SockWeddingFromHell was gaining traction. Good, I said, straightening my spine. Let's make it trend harder. Wren, remember that folder we made? Wren's eyes lit up. The receipts? All of them. Post everything. My mother appeared behind us, clutching her pearls. Zoe, stop this at once. You're embarrassing the whole family. No, Mom. James embarrassed us by thinking he could play us all for fools. I turned to face her. Why are you more concerned about appearances than the fact your daughter almost married a criminal? I have to agree with Zoe, my father said, joining us. Better a scandal now than a divorce later. But what will people say? My mother fretted. They'll say your daughter is a badass, Rachel chimed in, sliding onto a bar stool. The group chat is blowing up. Every woman in there is sharing their own stories of cheating exes. You've started a movement, Zoe. Lucinda checked her phone. The bank's fraud department just emailed me. They're launching a full investigation into James's accounts. Speaking of which, Ethan approached our group, looking grim. I just got off the phone with our board. They're pressing charges. James wasn't just using company cards for dates. He was running a whole scheme. Fake expense reports, ghost employees, the works. My stomach lurched. How much? Close to $500,000. The room spun slightly. I gripped the bar for support. I lived with him. We shared accounts. Will I be implicated? No, Ethan assured me. We've tracked everything. It's clear you weren't involved. In fact, he hesitated. We'd like to offer you a position in our compliance department. Your attention to detail in catching James's deception. We could use someone like you. A laugh bubbled up from my chest, slightly hysterical, but genuine. Are you offering me my ex-fiancé's job? Better salary, better title. Ethan shrugged. Think about it. My mother finally sat down, deflating slightly. Well, I suppose a corporate position would be respectable. Mom! I snapped. Can you stop thinking about respectability for 1 minute? I just dodged a bullet the size of a nuclear missile. Actually, Lucinda interjected, make that 2 nuclear missiles. She turned her phone toward us, showing a dating app profile. Look who I just found. There was James, under a different name. His profile claiming he was a single businessman looking for his soulmate. The profile was active as recently as yesterday. Son of a... my father started. Ladies and gentlemen. Wren's voice cut through the murmur of the crowd. She'd taken the stage where the band should have been playing our first dance. I think it's time we hear from our bride. The crowd turned toward me expectantly. Lucinda gave me a gentle push. Go. Own this moment. I walked to the stage, my wedding dress rustling with each step. The spotlight felt warm on my face as I took the microphone. This isn't the wedding speech I planned to give, I started, earning a few nervous laughs. But maybe it's the one that needed to be heard. To every woman who's ever been lied to, cheated on, or made to feel like she's crazy for asking questions. This is for you." The room fell silent. Today, I lost a fiancé, but gained something more valuable: my self-respect. And looking around this room, I see I'm not alone. Every woman who's ever doubted her instincts, who's pushed aside that nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Trust yourself. Phones were out, recording. I could see Rachel live streaming. So yes, my wedding turned into a public exposure of fraud and infidelity. But maybe that's exactly what it needed to be. Because silence protects the wrong people. I raised my glass. To dodging bullets and finding truth. And to the amazing women who stand together when the truth comes out. The room erupted in cheers. Lucinda and Ren rushed to hug me as I stepped off the stage. My father wiped his eyes proudly, and even my mother managed a small smile. "You know what?" Lucinda said, grinning. "I think we should start a support group." I looked at her, then at all the women in the room, recording and sharing their own stories. I think we already have. The morning after my non-wedding, I woke up to my phone practically exploding with notifications. Ren had stayed over, and she burst into my room waving her tablet. "You've gone viral!" she exclaimed. "The video of your speech has over 2 million views." I sat up, my head slightly fuzzy from last night's champagne. "What? Look at this!" She thrust the tablet at me. My speech from the reception was everywhere, with captions like "Bride exposes cheating fiancé and epic takedown" and "Wedding day justice." My phone buzzed, Lucinda calling. I put her on speaker. "Turn on channel 7 now," she said without preamble. Ren scrambled for the remote. The local morning news was running our story, complete with footage from the church. In what's becoming known as the Wedding Day whistleblower case, sources confirmed that James Davidson is facing multiple charges of financial fraud. "Oh my God," I breathed. "That's not all," Lucinda said. "Check your email. I've gotten hundreds of messages from women who've been through similar situations. They want to tell their stories." My inbox was overflowing. Women sharing their experiences with infidelity, financial abuse, and gaslighting. Each one thanked me for speaking up. A text from Ethan popped up. "Board meeting in an hour. That job offer still stands. We need someone who can spot red flags." "You should take it," Ren said, reading over my shoulder. My doorbell rang. Rachel burst in moments later, carrying coffee and bagels. "The morning shows want interviews, and you've got to see what your mom posted." "My mother?" I grabbed Rachel's phone. There was my proper appearance-obsessed mother's Facebook post. "Yesterday, I learned that protecting family reputation means nothing if we're protecting lies. I'm proud of my daughter for standing up for truth. To all mothers, teach your daughters to trust their instincts." Tears pricked my eyes. "I can't believe she posted that." "People are responding like crazy," Rachel said. "Women are sharing it with their daughters." Another call came in. A woman named Sarah who'd seen the video. She was sobbing. "Your speech gave me the courage to check my husband's phone," she said. "I found everything. The affairs, the secret accounts. I'm meeting with a lawyer today." "You're doing the right thing," I told her. "You deserve better." "We're starting a support group," Lucinda chimed in. "Would you like to join?" By noon, we had a name, Wedding Day Warriors, and over 500 requests to join our private Facebook group. Women supporting women, sharing resources, offering legal advice. My phone rang again. "Ethan, the board is impressed with how you handled everything," he said. "They want to know if you'd consider heading up a new division, corporate ethics and compliance. Your viral moment showed them how important transparency is." I looked at Ren and Rachel, who were nodding enthusiastically. "I'll take it," I said. "On one condition, I want Lucinda on my team." "Done," Ethan replied. "She's already proven her investigative skills." The doorbell rang again. This time it was my father carrying a stack of papers. "Sweetheart," he said, hugging me, "I've been talking to some people. There's interest in turning your story into a book, about empowering women to trust their instincts and stand up for themselves." "A book?" I sat down hard on the couch. "The working title is Red Flags and White Dresses," he grinned. "What do you think?" Before I could answer, Lucinda burst through the door. You won't believe this. 3 more women have come forward about James. Same story, different cities, different names, but same scam. How many women are we talking about? Wren asked. At least 7 that we know of, Lucinda said. And get this, he's done this before. Changed his name, moved cities, started over. But this time, we caught him. My phone buzzed with a text from Cameron. Just heard from the police. They're adding identity theft to James's charges. You started a domino effect, sis. You know what this means? Rachel said excitedly. Your story isn't just about one wedding gone wrong. It's about breaking the silence. About women protecting other women. I looked around at my support system. Old friends and new allies. Family members who'd grown stronger through crisis. My non-wedding had become something bigger than myself. So, Wren said, pulling out her laptop. What should we tackle first? The support group, the new job, or the book? All of it, I decided. But first, we need to respond to these women reaching out. They need to know they're not alone. Lucinda raised her coffee cup. To turning red flags into red alerts? We all clinked cups. And to women who refuse to be fooled twice, I added. My phone kept buzzing with notifications, each one a reminder that sometimes the worst day of your life can become the beginning of something powerful. 1 week after my non-wedding, I sat in my mother's pristine living room, watching her arrange teacups with shaking hands. I don't understand why you have to do another interview, she said, her voice tight. Haven't you exposed enough? Mom, this is bigger than just me now, I explained. The producer from Good Morning America says my story is helping women everywhere. But the scandal is nothing compared to what Dad did 20 years ago, right? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The room went deadly quiet. My mother dropped a teacup. It shattered on the hardwood floor. Who told you? No one had to tell me, I said, pulling out my phone. Remember how good I am at finding digital breadcrumbs? I did some digging after James. Wanted to understand why you were so obsessed with keeping up appearances. Zoe, my father's voice came from the doorway. He looked older suddenly, defeated. We never wanted you to know? Know what? I stood up. That you had another family in Seattle? That you abandoned them when Mom got pregnant with me? My mother sank into her chair. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I demanded. Because from what I found, you knew about them, Mom. You knew, and you made him choose. I was young and scared, she burst out. Your father was my everything. When I found out about his other situation, I couldn't bear to lose him. So instead, 2 other children lost their father. The words hung in the air like smoke. My father stepped forward. I've sent them money every month. Made sure they were taken care of. Money isn't the same as a father, I shouted. God, no wonder you both acted so weird when I started the Wedding Day Warriors group. You were afraid I'd uncover this too. We were trying to protect you, my mother whispered. No, you were trying to protect yourselves. I pulled up more documents on my phone. Did you know your other daughter, my half-sister, tried to contact you 5 times over the years, Dad? She even sent letters here. My mother's face went pale. I intercepted them. Of course you did. I laughed bitterly. Because heaven forbid anyone discover that perfect Edwin and Cecilia had secrets. What do you want from us? My father asked quietly. I want you to face what you did, just like I made James face what he did. I stood up straighter. I'm going to contact them. No, my mother jumped up. You can't. Actually, I already have. I pulled up an email on my phone. Meet Sarah and Michael. They're both married now, with kids of their own. They don't want money or revenge. They just want answers. My father collapsed onto the sofa. They responded? They're willing to meet. They've had 30 years to process their anger. Now they just want to know their history, their medical background, I swallowed hard. Their sister. I'll lose everything, my mother whispered. No, Mom. You'll gain something. A chance to finally be honest. To stop living in fear of exposure. The doorbell rang. Ren and Lucinda stepped in, my backup, as planned. The camera crew is outside, Ren said gently. They're ready when you are, Zoe. Camera crew? My mother's eyes widened in panic. Yes, because this story, all of it, needs to be told. Not just James's fraud, but how secrets and lies poison families across generations. I can't, my mother started, but my father cut her off. Yes, we can. He stood up, squaring his shoulders. Our daughter is brave enough to expose her pain to help others. Maybe it's time we followed her example. Lucinda stepped forward. We've vetted the producer. They'll handle it sensitively, and your story might help other families heal. Think about it, I said softly. Sarah and Michael's kids, your grandchildren, they could know their family history, the whole truth. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Will they hate us? They might, I admitted, but they might also understand. People are capable of forgiveness when they're given the whole truth. My father took my mother's hand. Cecilia, we've lived with this weight for 30 years. Maybe it's time to put it down. She looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. When did you become so strong? When I realized that exposing the truth, as painful as it is better than living a lie. I held out my hand to her. Will you do this with me? She took a shaky breath, then nodded. Yes. It's time. As Ren went to call in the camera crew, I saw my parents holding hands, terrified, but determined. This wasn't the family drama I'd expected to expose when I'd caught James cheating, but maybe it was the one that needed to come to light. Ready? Lucinda asked, adjusting the lighting. I looked at my parents, thinking of my half-siblings, waiting to finally know their full story. Ready? The Seattle airport was packed, but I spotted Sarah immediately. She had our father's eyes. Michael stood beside her, tall and broad-shouldered like Cameron. My half-siblings. The words still felt strange. Zoe? Sarah stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. You look just like your pictures. We stood there awkwardly for a moment, before Sarah pulled me into a tight hug. Michael joined in, and suddenly I was sandwiched between two strangers who were also family. I can't believe you found us, Michael said as we pulled apart. After all these years? Actually, I smiled, you found me. Through the Wedding Day Warriors page. Sarah nodded. When I saw your last name and recognized Dad in your viral video, I just knew. We grabbed coffee at the airport cafe. Lucinda and Ren had offered to come with me, but this felt like something I needed to do alone. Mom and Dad's interview airs tomorrow, I said, stirring my latte. They told everything. We saw the preview, Michael replied. His hands tightened around his cup. It's surreal, seeing him after 30 years. He's different now, I said softly. The guilt ate at him. Mom, too, once she finally admitted her part in it. Sarah pulled out her phone, showing me pictures of her kids, my nieces and nephews. Lily here, she has Dad's smile. We always wondered where it came from. Speaking of wondering, Michael leaned forward. There's something else we need to tell you, about James. My stomach clenched. What about him? After your story went viral, our mom recognized him, Sarah explained. He tried the same scam in Seattle 15 years ago, with our cousin Amanda. What? I nearly knocked over my coffee. Different name back then, Michael added, but same MO. Dating multiple women, financial fraud. Amanda was too embarrassed to press charges when she found out, but now she's willing to testify, Sarah finished. She's already contacted the prosecutor's office. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Major breakthrough in James's case. Call ASAP. Excuse me, I said, stepping away to call him. We found his original identity, Ethan said without preamble. He's been running this scam for almost 20 years. Different names, different cities. The FBI is involved now. I walked back to the table, my legs shaky. James, or whatever his real name is. He's been doing this for decades. Amanda wants to meet you, Sarah said gently. All his victims, they're connecting through your group. You've created something powerful, Zoe. It's not just me, I replied. It's all of us. Speaking up, sharing our stories. I paused. Like we're doing now. Michael checked his watch. Mom's waiting at the house. She'd like to meet you if you're ready. Your mom wants to meet me? I hadn't expected that. She says anyone brave enough to expose both a con man and decades of family secrets deserves her respect. Sarah smiled. Plus, she's got some stories about Dad from college that might interest you. My phone buzzed again. A message from my mother. Thinking of you today. Tell Sarah and Michael we'd like to meet when they're ready. No pressure, just open doors. I showed them the message. Baby steps, Sarah said, wiping away tears. But steps forward nonetheless. You know what's weird? Michael mused. If James hadn't been such a lying scumbag, none of this would have happened. Your wedding day disaster led to healing 30 years of family wounds. Karma works in mysterious ways, I laughed. Speaking of karma, want to see something interesting? I pulled up the Wedding Day Warriors website on my phone. The support group had evolved into a full-fledged organization, helping women spot relationship fraud and financial scams. We're launching a podcast next week, I explained, sharing stories, warning signs, recovery strategies. Would you and Amanda want to be guests? Count us in, Sarah said immediately. The more light we shine on these secrets, the less power they have. That's what Dad said during the interview, I remembered. Secrets are like poison. They don't just hurt the people keeping them, they hurt everyone around them too. Wise man, Michael said dryly. Better late than never, I guess. We stood up, ready to head to their mom's house. As we walked through the airport, I couldn't help but marvel at how life had turned out. My wedding day had imploded spectacularly, but from those ashes rose something extraordinary. Not just the exposure of a serial con man, but the reunion of a fractured family. Ready to meet more family? Sarah asked as we approached their car. I thought about all the secrets that had come to light, all the healing that had begun, all the connections that had been made. More than ready, I replied. I'm done with hiding things in the shadows. Good, Michael grinned. Because Mom made her famous lasagna, and she's got photo albums, lots of them. The courtroom fell silent as James was led in, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his usual designer suits. 3 months after my wedding day revelation, we were finally here for his sentencing. Lucinda squeezed my hand. Sarah sat on my other side, with Amanda next to her. Behind us, dozens of women from the Wedding Day Warriors filled the benches, all victims of James's various schemes over the years. All rise, the bailiff called out. The judge, a stern-faced woman in her 60s, took her seat and reviewed the papers before her. 27 counts of fraud, 18 counts of identity theft, 11 counts of embezzlement. She looked up at James. And those are just the charges we could prove. James's lawyer stepped forward. Your Honor, my client wishes to make a statement. Of course he does, Lucinda muttered under her breath. James turned to face the courtroom, his expression practiced and contrite. I want to apologize. Save it, Amanda called out, standing up. We've all heard your apologies before. Different names, different cities, same lies. Order, the judge warned, though I swore I saw a hint of approval in her eyes. Your Honor, the prosecutor stood. We've submitted impact statements from 32 victims spanning 2 decades. The defendant's pattern of predatory behavior. Objection, James's lawyer interrupted. My client's past relationships aren't relevant to the financial charges. Overruled, the judge said sharply. The pattern establishes intent and premeditation. Continue. The prosecutor nodded. Among the evidence submitted is documentation from Miss Wise's Wedding Day Warriors organization, tracking Mr. Davidson's activities under various aliases across 7 states. I stood up when the judge motioned to me. Your Honor, our organization has compiled a comprehensive timeline of James's activities, including bank records, social media evidence, and testimony from victims who were previously too ashamed to come forward. And how many women have come forward through your organization? The judge asked. 47 so far, I replied. Though we suspect there are more. James's confident facade cracked slightly. He hadn't expected this level of coordination among his victims. The defendant's actions weren't just financial crimes, the prosecutor continued. He deliberately targeted women, gained their trust, and systematically destroyed their lives. Miss Wise's public exposure of his schemes has prevented countless others from falling victim. Your Honor, James tried again. I'm seeking treatment for sex addiction. This isn't about sex addiction. Lucinda stood up. This is about calculated fraud. You used the same playbook with all of us. Love bombing, gaslighting, financial manipulation. You even recycled the same engagement ring. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom as several women held up photos of themselves wearing identical rings. The judge raised her hand for silence. I've reviewed all the evidence, including the FBI's investigation into your various identities and the extensive financial trail. Mr. Davidson, or should I say Mr. Harrison, or Mr. Peters, or any of your other aliases, do you understand the gravity of your crimes? James nodded meekly. I don't think you do, the judge continued. You didn't just steal money. You stole years of these women's lives. You stole their trust, their security, their ability to believe in love. The financial damage can be calculated, but the emotional damage is immeasurable. She shuffled her papers. Therefore, I am sentencing you to 15 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole for 10 years. You will make restitution to all identified victims, and your assets will be seized and distributed accordingly. The courtroom erupted in applause. James slumped in his chair as the reality hit him. Additionally, the judge raised her voice over the noise, I'm ordering that Miss Wise's Wedding Day Warriors organization be granted access to all case files to assist in identifying and supporting other potential victims. As the bailiff led James away, he turned to look at me one last time. I met his gaze steadily, no longer the trusting bride he'd tried to deceive. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered around us. Miss Wise, what's next for Wedding Day Warriors? I looked at the women surrounding me, Lucinda, Sarah, Amanda, and dozens more, all standing tall and strong together. We're expanding, I announced, opening chapters in every major city, creating a database to track serial relationship fraudsters, offering legal support, counseling, and most importantly, a community where women can share their stories without shame. And we're just getting started, Lucinda added, stepping forward. Today's verdict sends a message. Predators can't hide anymore. We're watching, we're talking, and we're fighting back. Sarah hugged me tight. Dad would be proud of you. He is, I smiled, thinking of our family's healing over the past months. We're all learning that truth, however painful, is better than comfortable lies. As we walked away from the courthouse, my phone buzzed with notifications from the Wedding Day Warriors group. More women coming forward, more stories being shared, more light being shown into dark corners. Ready for the press conference? Lucinda asked. I straightened my shoulders. Ready to change the world? One exposed fraud at a time, she grinned. And now, please welcome to the stage, the founder of Wedding Day Warriors, Zoe. The applause thundered through the convention center as I stepped onto the platform. Thousands of faces looked back at me. Women who'd found their voice, their strength, and their community through our organization. When I stood in my wedding dress, watching my world fall apart, I never imagined I'd be standing here, I began. But sometimes our worst moments become our most powerful catalysts for change. In the front row, my entire blended family sat together. My parents, Sarah and Michael, their mom Patricia, and all the nieces and nephews. Behind them, Lucinda and Ren managed the event staff, while Rachel coordinated with the livestream team. Today, Wedding Day Warriors has helped expose 312 serial relationship fraudsters. We've recovered over $12 million in stolen assets, but more importantly, we've created a network of support that spans continents. I gestured to the screens behind me, showing our global chapters connecting via video feed. But this isn't just about catching bad guys, I continued. It's about breaking the silence that protects them. It's about healing the wounds that shame keeps hidden. My mother stood up, walking to the stage with purpose. This wasn't planned, but I nodded for her to join me. My daughter taught me something powerful, she said, taking the microphone. She taught me that protecting lies costs more than facing truth. Today, I'm announcing the launch of our new program, Family Healing Circles, for those dealing with generational secrets and shame. The crowd erupted in applause. Patricia, Sarah, and Michael's mom wiped tears from her eyes as she watched her former rival become an ally in healing. Lucinda joined us on stage. And don't forget our biggest announcement. Thanks to our partnership with major dating apps, our fraud detection algorithm now helps screen for known predators before they can create new profiles. Speaking of predators, I added, I received a letter from James yesterday. He wanted to explain himself again. I sent back a copy of our latest statistics. How many women we've helped. How many lives we've saved. That was all the response he needed. The audience cheered. Among them sat Amanda and several other women who'd testified against James, now leading support groups of their own. But enough about the past, I said. Today, we're launching something new. The Wedding Day Warriors Foundation will provide legal aid, counseling, and financial planning for women rebuilding their lives after relationship fraud. And our first donor, I smiled at the back of the room where Ethan stood, is the company that once employed James. They're contributing his seized assets and matching them dollar for dollar. My father stood next to Patricia, both of them beaming with pride. Their healing journey hadn't been easy, but they'd shown that even decades-old wounds could mend with honesty and effort. We're also partnering with law enforcement agencies nationwide, Lucinda announced, training officers to recognize patterns of relationship fraud and financial abuse. No more dismissing these crimes as just relationship problems. Sarah brought her teenage daughter Emma to the stage. And for the next generation, Emma spoke clearly into the microphone, we're launching Warriors in Training, teaching young women to spot red flags and trust their instincts. I looked out at the sea of faces, survivors, supporters, warriors, all. When I started this organization, people said we were just angry women with grudges. They were right about one thing. We were angry. But we transformed that anger into action, that pain into purpose. Ren signaled from the side. Time for the surprise. The screens behind me lit up with faces of women from around the world, all speaking at once. I am a warrior. I found my voice. I broke the silence. I chose truth. I am not alone. My mother took my hand. My sister Sarah took the other. Lucinda, Ren, Rachel, Patricia. They all joined us on stage, forming a line of strength and solidarity. So here's to the warriors. I raised my free hand. To the truth-tellers and the silence breakers. To every woman who's ever doubted her instincts and then learned to trust them again. To every family healing from old wounds and building new bridges. The audience rose to their feet. And most of all, here's to the power of standing together. Because while one voice can be silenced, thousands of voices become a revolution. As the cheers filled the room, I felt the weight of my wedding ring finger, now bare, but stronger for it. I hadn't just survived a failed wedding, I'd helped build a movement. My phone buzzed with a new message, another woman reaching out, another story needing to be told, another warrior ready to rise. I smiled. Our work wasn't finished. It was just beginning.